Welcome to Shay It Out Loud. I'm Shay, and I'm so excited to have you here for my very first episode of our rebranded podcast. If you're new here, this is a space where we talk about real issues that shape our culture. And today, we're starting with something that hits close to home for so many of us, breaking generational cycles. We've all seen it in one form or another. Maybe it's the way we talk about money, how we deal with conflict, or the way we've been taught to suppress our emotions in the name of being strong. These cycles don't just impact us as individuals, they impact families, communities, and even generations to come. So today, I'll share my very own journey of breaking the strong woman narrative, and we'll talk about how we can create healthier legacies for those who follow us. Let's dive in. When I talk about generational cycles, I'm talking about patterns we see repeated in families, often without question. Sometimes these cycles are invisible until we stop and take a closer look. They could be financial habits like living paycheck to paycheck, or they could be emotional patterns like not talking about mental health or always having to be the strong one. For me, the cycle I had to confront was the idea that emotions are a sign of weakness. Growing up, I saw women in my family take on so much without complaining, without resting, and definitely without crying. They held everything together, no matter how heavy the load was. The strength was inspiring, but it also came at a cost. Let me get personal for a moment. I grew up in a family full of strong women. I was actually raised by a single mom. Women who carried their families, worked hard, and overcame every obstacle that came into their path. But what I didn't realize until much later was that very strength often came at the expense of their emotional well-being. I remember one specific moment that opened my eyes. I was dealing with something really painful. I mean, the kind of heartbreak that makes you feel like you can't breathe. But instead of allowing myself to feel, I buried it. I told myself, you're strong, you don't have time to fall apart. I smiled through it, and I worked through it. And I convinced myself that is what strength looked like. But deep down, I was exhausted. I realized that I wasn't carrying just my own pain. I was carrying generations of unspoken hurt. The women who came before me were strong, yes, but they also didn't feel like they had the option to be vulnerable. And here I was, repeating the same pattern, pretending I was okay when I wasn't. Breaking that cycle hasn't been easy. It's taken therapy, prayer, and a lot of unlearning. But I've learned the strength isn't about suppressing your emotions. It's about facing them, processing them, and letting them go. It's about giving yourself permission to feel and to heal. Let's talk about why the cycle exists in our culture. The strong Black woman narrative didn't come out of nowhere. It's a survival mechanism, a way to navigate a world that often expects us to be everything for everyone. But while it can be empowering, it can also be harmful. Research shows that emotional suppression leads to higher rates of anxiety, depression, and even physical health issues like high blood pressure. Therapists and psychologists emphasize the importance of emotional expression. Allowing yourself to cry, to be vulnerable, or to ask for help doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. And the truth is, breaking this cycle isn't just about us. When we show our kids, our nieces, our nephews that it's okay to feel, we're teaching them a healthier way to navigate life. For me, therapy has been a game changer. It's where I've learned that I don't have to carry everything on my own. I also learned that being vulnerable is a form of strength, not weakness. And that's a lesson I want to pass down to my children. Here are 5 practical tips for breaking emotional suppression. Number 1, acknowledge your feelings. The first step is to simply name what you're feeling, whether you're sad, angry, or overwhelmed. Whatever it is, give yourself permission to feel it. Number 2, talk about it. Find someone you trust to open up to, whether it's a friend, family member, or a therapist. Speaking your truth out loud can be so freeing. Number 3, practice self-compassion. Remember, you're not a superhero. It's okay to rest, to cry, and to take time for yourself. Treat yourself with kindness like you would do a good friend. Number 4, model vulnerability. If you have kids or family members, let them see you express your emotions in a healthy way. Show them it's okay to feel. And number 5, seek professional help. Therapists can provide the tools and strategies to help you navigate emotions and break the patterns for good. Now it's your turn. What does a strong Black woman narrative mean to you? Have you ever felt the weight of emotional suppression on your life? And if you already started to break the cycle, I'd love to hear how. Send me your stories on social media or email me. I love to share some of your stories in future episodes. You can find me at Shay It Out Loud on all social media handles or email me at justshayit@gmail.com. Let's keep this conversation going because your voice matters. Thank you for joining me on this deeply personal episode of Shay It Out Loud. Breaking generational cycles isn't easy, but it's some of the most important work we can do. Remember, strength isn't about hiding your pain, it's about confronting it and choosing to heal. Next week, we're diving into another important topic, mental health in the Black community. We'll talk about breaking the stigma, accessing resources, and why it's so important to prioritize your mental health. You don't want to miss it. If this episode resonated with you, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Until next time, stay bold, be vulnerable, and keep breaking barriers. It's your girl Shay with Shay It Out Loud.